There's a moment that happens to you maybe a dozen times a day, and you've probably never once stopped to think about it. You reach for your card or your phone. You hold it near a little screen. There's a beep, and it's done. Under a second. No counting out bills. No watching a wallet get thinner. No pause to feel it. The coffee is yours. The lunch is yours. The thing you didn't plan to buy is yours too. It doesn't hurt. That's the whole point. It was designed not to hurt. We're paying for, stacked up across a month, across a year. For most people, the number at the bottom of that pile is far bigger than nothing to do with the size of your paycheck. Because that's the strange thing about money. You can earn more and still feel like you're standing in exactly the same spot. You've probably watched it happen to yourself. A raise comes in, and within a few months the extra is just gone, absorbed into a slightly bigger life you couldn't quite point to if someone asked. People who make good money still live paycheck to paycheck. So the question was never really how much comes in. The question is what decides how much goes out, and whether you ever actually feel it leave. So let's talk about that feeling, or the missing one. In 2001, two researchers at MIT, Prelec and Duncan Simester, ran an experiment that should honestly be taught in every school. They auctioned off tickets to a sold-out Boston Celtics game. Same tickets, same room, one difference, half. The bidders were told they'd pay with cash, half with a credit card. That was the only change. The credit card group bid, on average, nearly twice as much. They titled the paper Always Leave Home. Without it, same tickets, double the money. Just because of how you'd pay. They gave the effect a name that fits it perfectly, the pain of paying. Handing over real cash stings. A little. You feel the loss in the moment, and that small sting works like a brake. It slows you down. Tap a card, and the brake quietly vanishes. The money still leaves. You just don't feel it go. Now think about how you pay for almost everything in your life. Today, the tap, the phone, the card on file. The brake is gone from nearly all of it. Not because you removed it, but because every payment you make has been quietly redesigned, so you barely notice the handover at all. There's a second force working against you, and it lives in the way your mind handles time. You are built to overvalue right now. A reward today feels enormous. The same reward a year from now feels faint, blurry, almost made up. Economists call it hyperbolic discounting. David Laibson described it back in 1997. And what it means is simple. The future almost always loses the argument to the present. That's why spending beats saving so reliably. The coffee is real and warm and here. The retirement account is an abstraction you tell yourself you'll handle later. And later never quite arrives. Laibson's own advice, tucked inside a dense economics paper, was almost startlingly plain. Find a way to pull money out of your account before you ever get the chance to spend it. Hold that thought. We'll come back to it. Then there's the money you don't even register losing. Richard Thaler, who won a Nobel Prize for exactly this kind of work, described how we file money into separate little mental accounts in our heads, and how the small, automatic, repeating charges slip out of all of them. They don't feel like spending. They feel like nothing at all. A big purchase announces itself. You remember the day you bought the couch. But $9 here, $14 there, charged on some random Tuesday when you weren't even looking. Those never make it into the story you tell yourself about your money. They aren't a splurge you can point to. They're a slow leak. And a slow leak, left alone, will empty anything. In 2022, a research firm called C+R Research asked 1,000 people one simple question. How much do you spend on subscriptions each month? The average guess was $86. Then they had those same people sit down and add it up, line by line. The real number was $219. People were off by $133 a month, roughly $1,600 a year, on charges they had personally, deliberately signed up for. 3 out of 4 admitted these recurring charges were easy to forget, and 42% were still paying for something they'd already stopped using. That isn't a budgeting failure. That's a system doing precisely what it was built to do. Which brings us to the quietest force of them all, the default. Whatever option is already selected, most of us simply leave it alone. We don't change the setting. We don't opt out. We go with whatever happened to be there when we showed up. Around the same time, 2 more researchers, Bridget Madrian and Dennis Shea, watched a single company flip one default. Instead of asking new employees to sign up for the retirement plan, the company enrolled them automatically and let them opt out if they wanted to. Nothing else changed. Same plan, same match, same paychecks. Participation more than doubled. The setting decided, not the willpower. So here's the question I actually want you to sit with. That break, the pain of paying that, used to slow you down. Where did it go? Did it just fall off on its own? Or did someone take it off? Because none of this is an accident. The one-tap checkout. The card saved on file, so you never have to type it again. The free trial that quietly turns into a charge. The auto-renew switched on by default. Every single one of those is a decision somebody made, and they made it on purpose. Your painlessness is profitable. Every dollar you spend, without feeling it is a dollar, that lands, smoothly, in someone else's account. You're not weak. You're not bad with money. You are a perfectly normal person, with a perfectly normal mind, standing inside an environment that has been carefully tuned to take advantage of the exact, predictable ways that mind values money. The habit isn't a flaw in your character. It's the obvious, expected response to a system built to produce it. And there's something almost freeing in seeing it that way. If the problem were you, your weakness, your missing discipline, then the only fix would be to somehow become a different person, which never works for very long. But that's not the problem. The problem is the design. And a design is something you can change. And once you see it that way, the way out stops being about willpower. It was never going to be about willpower. If the trick was removing friction and setting the defaults against you, then the answer is to take both of those tools back. Start with the one Leibson pointed at. Because the future always loses to the present, don't leave the decision to your future self at all. Pay yourself first. Set up an automatic transfer into savings or investing on the same day your paycheck lands, before your hands can reach it. Turn the auto-renew against the people who invented it, and aim it at your own future instead of theirs. And to be clear, that's just an illustration, not a promise. What it actually adds up to depends on your income, your costs, and your choices. Then put the friction back where it was taken out. Delete the save cards from your apps so that buying something means finding your actual wallet and typing the actual numbers in. That tiny bit of effort is the break, reinstalled. Give yourself one flat rule. Wait 24 hours before any purchase you don't strictly need. That's not a test of your discipline. It's a speed bump. You're changing the road, not gritting your teeth. And once, just once, sit down and read through every subscription you're paying for. Drag the invisible into the light. Cancel the ones you'd forgotten you had. Almost everyone finds at least one. Notice that not a single one of these asks you to want it more. They ask you to redesign the few seconds where the money actually leaves. So the next time your hand drifts toward the card, and you're about to tap, and it's about to be over in under a second, with no pain at all, that little moment, right there, is where the break used to be. That's the spot. That's where you get to put it back. Not by wanting it more, just by making that 1 second a little harder than someone else wanted it to be. So which of these did you just recognize in yourself? I'm curious which one stung a little.